Welcome to another episode of Ruggers. Today, Francois, we're going to change a little bit. There's a lot of noise being made by the true rugby supporters about the coaching staff at the Lions and what needs to be done to turn the Lions around before the United Rugby Championship starts in, 4 weeks' time. We had a nice discussion with Lofi Elof. Everybody knows him. SA Under 20 World Cup coach. He coached the Lions and he coached almost everywhere in the world. But Francois, interesting. I would have wanted Lofi to be more
dramatic,
vicious, more change everything, change it now, because after the United Rugby Championship, there's no time to change it again.
Yeah, I think your take is higher or fire and then higher. But which stood out for me was number one, don't make drastic and wholesale changes now. He said ensure that there's continuity, which kind of makes sense. There was some form of measure of build up to where they are now. It hasn't produced the results, obviously. That's why we are having this discussion today. But surely another point that stood out for me that he picked up was possibly a lack of a strong leadership, not from the coaching perspective, but maybe from outside or a position of a director of rugby, where he can provide strategic guidance and mentorship in terms of the coaches. So, and then the third aspect that I picked up was the talent is there, definitely in the younger teams. So it's a question of sitting down, looking at maintain your continuity, but look at the critical changes that you need to make within possibly your coaching structure, and then also your player selection in the critical positions.
So that's it. Have a look at what and listen to what Lofi has said. Maybe and I am a staunch Lions supporter. Let's listen what he's saying, and we expect within a day or two for the announcements of the new coaches and everything, and see if Rudolph Strali and the guys there at the top listen to Lofi. Have a nice day. Thank you
very much.
Lofi, welcome to Ruggers, and thank you so much for your time. The discussion today is we're sitting with a problem at the Lions and also at Western Province, that everything is falling apart. My question to you is the United Rugby Championship is starting in 4 weeks' time. And the Lions has already indicated that they're going to employ new coaching staff and everything. Is it possible to correct everything that's wrong at the Lions within a month?
Carl, that's such a good question. As an optimist and a positive person, I always believe that nothing is impossible, but this is going to be a tough call. I do think they're going through tough times, as you mentioned in the beginning as well, Western Province, and a lot of fingers are pointed to leadership, and the people are blaming each other and so on. To answer your question, I think it is possible, but it's going to be a miracle. It's very much like they're panicking and making changes and so on now. I don't think the time is right to make it, but they didn't have results, and it's going to be tough. But I do believe if they have an injection of money and they have the injection of the right personnel, it'll be possible for them to be more competitive than they've been in the Currie Cup.
Thank you, Lofi. Lofi, my next question is, we're sitting now with the Lions. They've got a very junior squad, and they've got 4 weeks to rectify that, to get guys in from outside to fit into the playing patterns of the Lions and that kind of stuff. Again, my question is it possible? And where will they find the players that's got enough experience? And by experience, we must probably also say, talking about age, to fill the gaps that there currently is in the structures.
Yes, Carl. Coming from Johannesburg and being involved with the Lions for 11 years of my life, it's a different dynamic. Johannesburg per se and Ellis Park, where it's based, is a different dynamic. And to me, and I had a quick, I sent Kevin de Klerk a message earlier today. It's important that you get a guy that, first of all, has got the credentials. He needs to have the experience of coaching and successful, not just there. Secondly, he must understand the dynamics of Johannesburg and Ellis Park and the Lions. And if you don't have that, a guy that's already got experience in that area, it's going to be tough. Because it's not one of the big franchises. We've got all the infrastructure, we've got everything, and you can pick and choose. You've got 3 or 4 players in a position. You don't, and it has shown now that the depth is a problem. If I can think now, I would most probably reach out to unions like Griquas and Pumas, who are not playing in that competition, to see if there's a possibility to do exchange or loan of players or something like that. But they definitely need more depth on the playing side. And I think tactically they need to get the right combination of coaches. Carl, all the coaches, the young coaches they appointed there are not bad coaches. Actually, some of them, they are really good coaches. But I think they just needed a bit of seniority around them, maybe a director of rugby, maybe just a mentorship program to assist them. Because you could see in this competition, it became a very lonely life for them. And I've been in a position where a coach is under pressure consistently, and I actually feel sorry for those young coaches, for those younger coaches. And it might be that some of them will be lost for rugby, or maybe rugby at that level. And I think when we appoint coaches, we need to be more intelligent of how we employ them and who we got to mentor them in the process. Because you don't become the top international coach at that level overnight if you've been a brilliant young coach. But we also can't chuck them to the wolves.
Why do you think the problems at the Sharks, at the Lions, is currently there?
Well, I'm not inside anymore. And I hardly speak. I'm friends with the top management. I'm friends with the president and Roelof. And I think a big problem can be financially. They didn't have money to employ the right players. They lost a lot of good players. So I just think, a few years ago, they were on top of it. Unfortunately, they didn't win the super competition, but they played in finals. And I think the wheel has turned for them, that a lot of their players that were special in that team that got them there have left the union. And as you know yourself, you can't stay on top. You have to stay at the bottom. But to me, the progression is a bit slow. So I understand they're sitting and planning today, but they need to maybe do a short-term planning for the competition coming, but more importantly, a long-term for the future of Lions. Because as in Western Province, we need the Lions, we need strong franchises. And we've already expected EP to do better as a franchise, which hasn't happened. So we need those unions so the young talent have got avenues and unions where they can go play after school.
The final question, Lofi, and thanks for your time, is what changes would you do at the Lions, and who would you promote for taking over what job?
Yeah, that's a good question. First of all, I would not just hire and fire the coaches. I would most probably look at, and I read something in an article that it's going to overlap with the Currie Cup starting. I would look at using some of these coaches that are used in the Currie Cup, because you don't just you don't want to lose that continuity of coaches, but I definitely need a director of rugby or a senior head coach that can lead the process and maybe divide the coaches into 2 groups and just, also groom them in the process. But they need to, I see they're talking about Victor Matfield, Farida Priya, Jacques Fourie. They need a senior guy that has been there, that's been around the block, not necessarily as a rugby player, but also as a coach that can manage the process. And because it's only experience that can fulfill that role. The Afrikaans we got a beautiful saying, benode honde maak benode spronge. I don't think we should panic too much. We shouldn't just hire and fire. We can just probably improve on the leadership, I guess stronger leadership and a bit more senior, and guide the young coaches. Okay, yes, Carl, I think the talent is there. the trick will be now to identify the critical positions and you know yourself as a rugby, with your rugby knowledge, you need a tight head, a hooker, open side flanker, 8th man, a 9, a 10, a 12, a 15 that are very strong. They need to go look at critical positions and then look at the youth, because Lions youth rugby is healthy. They're doing, the under 20s are doing well. Don't lose those players. Get them into the system as soon as possible. And I still see a great future for the Lions. I'll always stay a Lion in my heart, but as the people on social media go around now, they want to chop and change and bring this and that in. You need to be, you can't be penny wise and pound foolish. You need to be very intelligent with your decisions you make. So your question, what I'm doing now, I started a company called Elite Sport Mentorship, mostly to mentor coaches, players, help them with their career planning and so forth. But as I never knew that COVID was going to hit us, so the whole model of my company was built on bringing players from abroad, which didn't happen. So I played a bit more guitar, and I and I made it. And I'm still helping a few coaches abroad, and I'm proud to say that I helped Andre Peturius. I'm mentoring him, who had a fantastic season with the Leopards, and I had a project with Kuro Longabon, where I helped their coaches and putting systems in place. And I must tell you again, they were underdogs. It was so fantastic to see these guys go into a match that they used to lose, and they won. They actually won Durbanville, Kuro, which is 3 times their size. 25-10, I think, was the score. And the boys reacted as if it was a World Cup final. So yeah, I just think I'm a proud South African, Carl, and I love watching the youth coming through. And I think we as rugby administrators, planners, coaches need to be very intelligent to give these guys a pathway that they can be identified. Everybody can't go to varsity to play to varsity cup. So what happens to those players that are not going to academy, that are not going to varsity? I think we need to jack up our club rugby so the guys can go to club rugby, from club rugby maybe into a old B side or a development side and so forth. Just have a platform where they can get opportunity to be seen, to possibly be contracted if they are not in the hub immediately, because we have talent and you get late bloomers. So I guess I would like to always assist guys that have got no hope and think they cannot make